The new MCP plugin from Unreal 5.8 is all the rage, but how can you get the most out of it for your gameplay? Let's add double jumps to the FPS template to see what it looks like. Yes, of course, I know, it's trivial, but this is just to demonstrate the process. By the way, this is a CPP project because AI works better with text. First of all, we need to enable the MCP plugin and its toolsets and then restart the editor. There is a whole bunch of them, but for this example, I want the ones for live coding and automation tests. After that, we need to set up the MCP server. This is what our AI agent will communicate with. In the console, run model context protocol start server to start the server and generate client config for your agent of choice. This will tell it how to connect. I'm using Claude, by the way. This is what you want to see in the output log. And if you want, you can also go to the editor preferences under Model Context Protocol and check Auto Start Server for future runs. If you did everything right, then you should see something like this when you run your agent. One last thing before jumping in is your CLAUDE.md file. Claude loads this every time, so it should have information that you want Claude to always know. Here I'm giving it some context about the project and, most importantly, our process. Spec-driven development with a red-green refactor loop. That's a fancy way of saying describe what you want using a failing automation test, write the minimal amount of code possible to satisfy that requirement, and then maybe make the code nicer now that you have that test as a safety net. Variants of this have actually been considered best practice for a while now, and it seems to be gaining in popularity thanks to AI. So let's get to it. Here's my prompt. I'm setting Claude to plan mode so it thinks more and I can make sure it's making sense. It asks me some questions, I give it some rejections, and in the end it comes up with this plan. Going over it, it looks alright to me, so I let it rip. You can see it compiling the automation test with live coding. It catches and fixes its own error, which is nice. It then runs the test. Sorry for the window in the way. You can see we only jump once, so the test fails, as expected. After implementing the feature, which just sets the jump max count to 2, it now runs the test again, and you can just about see it behind the live coding window. So that's it. We're done. Let's see what it actually did. It created this automation test. It tries to double jump by injecting the jump input action into the player controller. So this would be the same as the player hitting space. There's definitely room for improvement here. You can see it loads the input action and the map by their paths, which is fragile. And it also loads the entire actual map, which is super redundant. But the test works. Essentially, it jumps, waits to start falling down, jumps again, and then tests the Z velocity. We can also run it ourselves with the session frontend under automation. And there it is. There's a lot more to it than this, obviously. You can give it feedback and it will improve over time, as well as use skills, sub-agents, and the list goes on. Not to mention testing practices that we just glossed over. This was a basic demonstration for what I think is a very useful tool, but we're nowhere near make GTA 6 with no mistakes. And most importantly, you have to remember, if it's not fun, it doesn't matter how fast you did it. That's it for this one, and I will see you next time.